Okay, we're going to compare fractions. What's the first fraction that we are comparing? Say that fraction for me.
5 out of 12.
Or to say that as a fraction.
5/12.
5/12, and we are comparing that to, what are we comparing it to?
1.5.
Not 1.5. There's no and in that. Let's say it again.
1/2.
1/2. So now we may be able to picture it, but if we can't picture it, what's our strategy? What do? Okay, we multiply to find a common denominator. So I'm going to look here at 12ths, and I'm going to think, what can I do to the 2 to make it 12ths? So what can I do to the 2 to make it 12ths, to find that common denominator? What can I do?
Probably multiply it by 2.
2 times 2 is?
20.
No.
2 times 2 is 4.
2 times 2 is 4. Does that make a 12?
Well, no, 2 times 10.
2 times 10 is what?
20.
20. That's not making a 12. So how do I get to 12? You got to know your facts. How do I get to 12?
6.
6. 2 times 6. 2 times 6. Wait a minute. Is that all I do? No. What do I, tell me.
What you do to the bottom, you do to the top.
What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So let's multiply that. My numerator, what's my new numerator? What's my new numerator?
6.
6. What's my new denominator? What's my new denominator?
12.
12. So now I know. 6/12. So now can I compare this? It's a lot easier now, isn't it? Yeah. How do I compare it? Somebody tell me the sentence, how I draw what I need to write. Tell me the sentence.
5/12 is less than 1/2.
Very good. Multiply. A lot of you are drawing pictures, but remember, fractions have to be equal parts. And it's really tricky to get all those 12ths exactly right. When you're drawing it, 5/12 very may well look like it's equal to a half. When we do the math, we see differently. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's do another one from our practice page. Let's do number 15. So that is 6/8 to 8/10. What do I need to do? Your brain should automatically be thinking about finding something. What are we trying to find? What are we trying to do?
I pictured it, and I pictured that 6/8 is greater than, 6/8 is greater than 8.
How did you picture that?
Because the smaller the denominator, the bigger the pieces.
Oh, very good. And we're only 2 pieces away from being wholes. That's one way to think about it, if you can visualize that. But if you can't visualize it, what do you need to look for? Common denominator. Everybody say it with me.
Common denominator.
Now 8 and 10, wait. Can I multiply 8 by something to make it 10? No. So this is where that little, I'm doing some with my hand that you can't see.
You multiply 10 by 8 and 8 by 10.
Multiply 10 by 8 and 8 by 10. Multiply by the other denominator. So I'm doing like a flippy flop with my hand. So if I do 8 times 10 and 10 times 8, what do I always have to do? What I do to my denominator, I have to
My numerator.
do it to the numerator. Very good.
I don't understand how Emily got it.
So, well, that some brains are visual math brains, some brains are number math brains. That's the difference.
I thought this.
So let's do it this way. Let's do 6/8 and multiply it to get a common denominator. What fraction did I just create? When I multiply that all out, what is my new fraction?
68.
That's a lot to say, isn't it? 60/80ths. And then what about 8/10ths? When I multiply it by 8, what do I get? What do I get?
64/80th.
64/80ths. Now, Emily, let's look at this. It was really close, wasn't it? That's why visualizing is really hard. I understand where we're at. We've got to double check it with the math. So which is greater, 60/80ths or 64/80ths? Which is greater? Which is greater?
64/80th.
64/80ths. So, oh, my stylus. So then, this is what it looks like. 6/8 is less than 8/10. Does that make sense? Yes, ma'am.
Or how I did it was whether do you want 6 or 8 pieces?
But the piece sizes are different. You can't just compare these numerators unless the denominators are the same. So why don't we try one where the denominators are the same? Okay, let's try one where the denominators are the same. And I don't think we had any. Number 12? Yep, number 12.
I got it.
So number 12 is 7/12ths and 4/12ths. Because these are the same pieces, what you just said, Ava, is true. Do you want 7 pieces or 4 pieces? Think of your chocolate bars from earlier. Because your chocolate bars were cut into 12ths. Do you want 7 pieces or 4 pieces? Which do you want?
7 pieces.
7 pieces. So when I put in, all I have to look at now are my numerators because my denominators are equal. So which is greater, 7 or 4? Who can read the whole sentence with fractions? The whole sentence with the fractions.
7/12ths is greater than 4/12ths.
Bingo. There you go. Remember the multiplication because visualization, it's helpful, but man, it's so tricky because it's so close. So close.